Welcome to Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno, and this is Dan G, Sports Securities.
How's it going?
Hey, Dan.
What's up, Pat?
How's it going?
Doing well.
All right. So tell us, Dan, what'd you bring today?
So I brought what appears to be an excellent example of an 85-86 Mario Lemieux O-Pee-Chee rookie card. Excellent centering, excellent edges, corners, everything about it looks fantastic, outside of the fact that it's a counterfeit. It's not legit. And so I thought it might be cool to talk about the things that make it counterfeit, or that point out that it's counterfeit.
Now, did you know that this was counterfeit when you purchased it?
No, I didn't purchase it. Well, I guess that's not true. I purchased a large collection,
okay,
and this was in what was part of the large collection. Right. However, at the time of the purchase, this was not one of the cards that I believed was the bulk of the purchase. This is after the fact. I was sorting through things, and I saw it, and at first glance, I was like, bam, like bonus Mario Lemieux rookie card, and it's fantastic, right? But after the fact, I started looking at it a little bit closer, and I was like, it's too perfect, right? I mean, if it's a 9, it's probably a $1,200 to $1,500 card.
Wow, really?
And if it's a 10, I might be, paying off some car loans, right? and so as I started looking at it more and more, the cliche saying that if it looks too good to be true, it's probably not true, and so I started doing some research and looking at it closer through the loops and so forth, and I pretty much convinced myself it's not real. That was confirmed when we were at the 2017 National in Chicago. I looked at some other examples that were graded, different vendors had them for sale, and I didn't actually bring the card to compare with the notes that I'd taken mentally. I did the comparative look at the National, and that confirmed my initial thoughts, and that was that it's counterfeit.
Tell us some of the different aspects that you believe to be different than an authentic example.
So the biggest ones, which are not going to be visible so much in the video, because you need to have a loop.
Sure.
But to the naked eye, you can kind of see these, and I'll give it to you here in a second to look at. Is if you look at the upper part of the card here, you can see that there's some clear lines, right? There's some separations between the black and the picture, as well as the white border, and those under close examination are slightly pixelated, right? Which is not the case in the originals. So that's probably one of the biggest indications that this is counterfeit.
Okay.
If you look at the logo in the upper right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, I'm sorry, you will kind of see along the edge of the penguin to where it comes into the transition of the white. It's roughly the same pixelation. Not as prominent, but it's there, especially if you look at it with a loop. In addition to that, the original is the background picture. There's a gentleman standing behind the glass.
Mm-hmm.
That image is much lighter, and on this counterfeit, it's very dark. It's almost unnoticeable sometimes. But if you look at the original Lemieux, that guy is much easier seen because he's lighter, as opposed to this one where he's dark and he kind of blends into the background.
Now, how's the back? Can you notify differences in the back?
So the back, it looks pretty clean in comparison.
Okay.
It looks legitimate on the back. One last thing that's very prominent on this when you're just looking at it with the naked eye is the top edge, and when you're done I'll show, or you can show the camera. The top edge, there is some overlap of red color or maroon color from the back of the card, and you can kind of see that maroon color on the front, and that's one thing that I had read on the internet, that is a telltale sign of a counterfeit, is they couldn't quite get the cut on those so that it doesn't overlap. So, like I said, it might not be visible on the video, but it's very prominent in person.
I see it there.
Yeah.
Now, is there any desirability to a counterfeit Lemieux rookie?
If you plan on scamming somebody, there is.
But I mean, just to like have a comparison for like guys like us that like to.
So I would imagine for academic purposes, it's good to have, and the ultimate plan is that, and we discussed this before the video, is that I want to maybe write about this for my website, and have a comparative, like this is what the original looks like with the blown up picture versus the counterfeit and so forth. But just a word of advice out to those who might be looking at purchasing a Lemieux, right? I mean, you can still buy raw copies, right? But just be careful, because this is really good. I mean, it's a good example. I don't think PSA or BGS would fall victim to this. I think they would note it almost immediately.
You can see pixelation and the print on the front in a variety of different places. The nameplate, the black line border, the thin thread stroke that's around the border there.
Right.
You can identify potential indications of it being an authentic illegitimate copy.
And if you look at an original, it will not have that pixelation.
Sure.
It will not. It's a very solid line. There is none of that. So but uneducated, I could easily see somebody making the mistake and purchasing this, thinking they have like a Gem Mint 10. I
mean, it's a clean example,
right? But it clearly is a fake.
So I guess in this capacity, what this does is confirm, or at least give additional support for the value of buying high-end cards like this already graded, to confirm their legitimacy, their credibility, their authenticity. This would be one of those cards. The Jordan rookie would be another one.
Right.
God, what are some of those bigger cards that you can get? There was a time when reprints were made to look just like the originals, and they didn't say reprint on them. This happened a lot in the early 80s. So be careful about that stuff. I've noticed with reprints, there's a significant gloss overlay that it makes them so easily identifiable to the originals that it's hard to miss. But if you don't have that trained eye, you might fall victim to buying one of those high gloss reprints.
Right.
So this is a nice piece, man. Thanks for bringing it over.
Sure.
Good stuff. We're gonna segue to baseball, Hall of Fame, 60s, late 60s, and trashed. So this is a 68 Topps Willie Mays. I have a couple of these, but this by far is the worst one. And Dan, you were mentioning that rounded corners back then are really round.
Right. It's amazing. It's almost like it's intentional.
Right.
Right. I don't understand how rounded corners can be almost perfect.
Yeah, they're perfectly round.
Right. It's like they were cut that way.
And then it's missing a bottom left corner.
Someone got hungry.
And I don't. It's just, dude. Some of the stuff is just put through heck. So this is. I like this. This was found in I think either a 25-cent bin or a dollar bin. It's got significant damage on the surface. Multiple creases. So poorly centered rather.
So this card reminds me of the cards that my son has.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This is kind of what they look like. Yeah, they're not Willie Mays. But what's amazing to me is the ones that he has, after some time, we put them in the trash. Sure. So I'm very curious as to why this one never ended up in the trash.
Someone Willie Mays.
Yeah, but somebody, along the line you would think would be like, man, this Willie Mays is hammered. And I'll just put it away where it belongs. I will file it in the trash can.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, would you ever throw this away if this was in your collection? 68 Topps Mays, even in this condition?
But I'm a collector. You know that this originally was part of somebody's just toys. Right? And so that would make it different. Right? I like my son, I collect, but I throw his away because they've essentially become toys. And they're hammered. Just like this. And so I'm curious, if there had been some value because it was Willie Mays, you think they might have taken better care of it. So I would like to know the history of that card and how it got so hammered and didn't end up in the trash can.
So this leads us to, there's the centering on the back. It's horrendous. So, you know, you bring up an interesting point. I brought this up before, that Hammered Vintage kind of tells a story.
Right.
You buy essentially a story that you don't know, like the plot, you don't know the beginning, don't know, you know, like this, the characters within the ending. You kind of do know the ending because you have it in your hand and part of your collection. So in a sense, that's the end of the story, because now it's protected and it's cared for after it's been through all this mess.
Right.
I mean, with this kind of surface damage, you think that it's been on the ground and someone like ran and skidded on it with their, you know, just like, with a say hey kid, Willie Mays baseball card. I don't know. It's interesting. This card obviously wouldn't grade beyond a 0 in authentic, you know, and so the resale value would be someone who'd want it for, you know, they like the card because it's Willie Mays. Like guys like me would like this kind of stuff. But this is I think it's the third version of this card I've purchased. This being the worst of the 3. I have a really clean example of this in like kind of a mid-grade one. And I remember the first time I acquired this card, it was like early spring of 2010. It was like January, February. And I got this card, and I kind of jokingly asked the seller, I was like, how much for this? And he said $10. And I was like, oh my gosh, totally, I can't wait to hand you $10 for this Willie Mays card. So that was my first encounter with this 68 Topps Mays. And then fast forward, I pick up another one at one of our shops that's no longer, and then I pick up this guy at the National. And I'm not specifically looking for 68 Topps Mays. He just happened to be around when I was looking for whatever. So I was really glad to pick this up. This is the completely trashed 1968 Topps Willie Mays.
You know, you might want to consider for future episodes maybe scripting a story.
Oh, yes. Let's just make one up right now.
I'll pass. Thanks.
Good stuff, man. Danny, you have any final thoughts?
Just have a good time.
All right. Thank you for watching another episode of Radicards TV on Radicards.com. And until next time, enjoy collecting.
Take care.
If you like this video, please subscribe. Enjoy collecting. Thank you.